In this video I will show you how to freehand a mesh top like this one or similar, and using this video you will be able to create your own size, maybe even your own design. This is not a beginner tutorial, so please make sure that you watch the whole thing before you even start making it, because it requires many hours. For this mesh top you will need your yarn. In my case it's cotton lace yarn, and I'm using 0.6 millimeters crochet hook, but you can use any lace thread that you want and pretty much any crochet hook, but I would recommend go for something under 125 millimeter, because everything thicker just goes against the whole idea of a very light, very flowy, very transparent mesh top. Okay, also for this project you will need your favorite t-shirt. This is probably the most important part. I will explain you later, but make sure that you pick a t-shirt that you really like in terms of shape, in terms of how it fits you. You like the neckline, because we will following those lines. Yeah, we will be recreating those nice anatomical line. And you will need a ruler, a contrast thread, just a little piece, maybe like 40 centimeters, 50, some pins, and project book, some stitch markers, and let's get started. I'm sure you've seen many crochet patterns that go like this, just, you know, a square or a rectangular shape. Let's say these are our stitches and this is the mesh top, for example. Okay, and it might have sleeves, maybe 2 squares. Okay, and then when you made those 2 rectangulars, you just fix this line, and this is your neckline. Here's your neck, here's your head, these are your hands. I mean, it's okay. I like this approach, but it's more beginner friendly, and what we are trying to do is to create more anatomical shape. Okay, just like here. So let's take a look at our t-shirt. But see, we have our lines here and here. You probably have noticed that a t-shirt is one of the most comfortable things to wear, because it goes along your anatomical line and you have this deep, beautiful line. And here is what we are going to be creating today. We will be kind of building the shape from our squares. To make 2 shapes. One is already done and I will be referring to it so that it makes more sense to you. So the front part consists of 2 of those. So we will be making this one, and we will try to meet those right here and fix them. And then we go this way when the upper part is done. For this shape I was going this way. Let's break it down. This is a foundation chain, and then this is the first row. This is the second row with an extension, with an increase here, and then the third row without an increase, and then the fourth row increase, fifth row no increases, sixth row increase, a row without an increase, and then the next row we make an increase, and then no increases, increase, no increases, increase, no increases, increase, no increases, increase, increase. And if you take your ruler, let's talk about this part first. So the increases are going on only here, because Here it's just a straight line, okay? So this is a straight line, this is a straight line, and the increase goes right here. So let's do it. Place your ruler right here, so it goes right under your neckline, and then start chaining. How many chains do you need? Now it's time to look at this line from the top of your shoulder until your ruler. I would suggest you make a little longer chain than you need from here to here, because you don't really know, I don't really know how tight your chain is. And the idea is right now is to start making squares along that chain. And if you have a little extra tail of chains, you will just, get rid of it. So it goes like this. Make 3 extra chains, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and go right about here. It's like 8 or 9 chains behind, and I'm not making a double crochet stitch, I'm making an extended double crochet stitch. And the stitch is, see, you have a yarn over, you went into the 9th stitch, you grab the yarn, you pull the yarn out of this stitch, and then you go step 1, step 2, and step 3. This is your extended double crochet stitch. Let's do it again. 1, 2, yarn over, I skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and go into the 3rd one. So I skip 1, 2, and go into the 3rd one. And then, see, I have 3 of those, like 3 stitches on my crochet hook, and I go 1, 1, 2, and 3. I've got 2 squares. Chain 2 again, yarn over, skip 2, 1, 2, I skip those and go into here. And then my extended double crochet. 1, 2, 3. How many squares you need? Once in a while, you just stop and put your square sequence right here and see how many more squares you need until this line. Now remember, I told you to grab some contrast yarn, and this is what I use it for. I use it as an extension. I put it right here, and it's easier to hold it, to make the whole work more stable. So I would wrap it around my pinky, and this is how I have this tension here, okay? So let's continue. From the top of the shoulder until the ruler, I have 12 squares. If you're using a thicker yarn and a bigger crochet hook, probably the amount of squares will be about 10 or maybe 9 or maybe 8 if your yarn is really thick. And now I'm gonna work the 2nd row, and you see here the line kind of goes up, and I'm gonna be following these lines. So at the end of the row, I will be making an increase. So the increase is a extended double crochet stitch, chain 2, and an extended treble crochet stitch into the same stitch. So in order to get there, I grab my squares, my first row, and so basically in this row we will have 12 squares and the half. The half will be our increase. By the way, at this point you might want to grab a piece of paper or your project book and just write down what is going on in every row of your own project, because you will have your own numbers, your own amount of squares, and you will be replicating the left and right shoulder. Those will be the same. So probably if you do not want to count the second time, you might want to just write down what is going on in your project. So first row is your, let's say, 12 squares, like in my case. Second row, 12 squares and a half. The half is a increase. Okay, so I'm about to finish this row. See, I have this little thing hanging. It's actually a square. And I go into this stitch right here. 1, 2, and now just our extended double crochet, but it's just a square, right? And we need a square and a half. And then 1, 2, yarn over 2, and you go into the same stitch where this square, this side of a square kind of growing from. So yarn over 2 and go into the same stitch, and then this is an extended double crochet. So you work step 1 and then step 2 and then step 3 and then step 4, and your triangle is done. It's an increase. And don't forget that your increases, you need, for right now, you need only along the shoulder line. So this is where you need your increase, because the line goes up, right? Following your shoulder. Now, at this point, write down that you have 12 squares and 1 triangle, okay? Which means 12 squares and an increase. Now, I think, like looking at my pattern, looking at my t-shirt, I probably want one row without any increases or anything. I will just, because you know my squares are very, very small, so I do not this line to go like this, because if I increase right here, it will go up more quickly. I don't want that. So I just want one row without an increase. And what happens here is I build a square over this triangle. So this will be a square, and then square, 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 and so on. So we made this increase and we make a square. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is the right side of the square, 2 is the upper part of the square, and now yarn over, and the stitch is the third side of the square, and I go 1, 2, 3. So this is an extended double crochet. We had a square here, a square here, and a triangle, and now a square here. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, and at this point just finish this row. Those will be just squares. Now I'm almost done with my third row, and here what I would like to show you, probably if this is your first time crocheting something very tiny and you're getting confused in those stitches, when you made a triangle, this increase in the previous row, you go ahead and mark it with a stitch marker or maybe some piece of thread. It doesn't really matter how you make your marker, okay? And this will be your sign to increase only on this side, because this side remains unchangeable. This side remains unchangeable, so it just goes straight. And here what is going on? This one is actually a square, okay? So yarn over, and this is a square, okay? It wasn't an extension, it wasn't an increase. So yarn over, go into the, it was a chain 1, 2, go into the third one, and create your 1, 2, 3 extended double crochet. So this is what we have so far. Our shoulder line, we are going this way, so make sure that this stitch you are working on goes kind of this way, and then look at what is going on with your line. Do you want an increase here at the end of the row? We will be going from here until the end of the row. Yes, probably I already want an increase. If you're still fine, if you see that your stitches kind of still go along this line due to the previous increase, then don't increase. So what I did, what I would write down in my project book, that my third row was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 squares, and my fourth row will be 13 squares and a half, that triangle, that increase. So let's do it. Find the stitch you're working with. So I will be going until the end of the row. This is a square because no increases were made, and here into this stitch I will make an increase. 1, 2, 3, the right side of the square, chain 2, 1, 2, the upper part of the square, yarn over, go into the first square, and step 1, step 2, step 3, the extended double crochet is done, and this square is done. And I will see you at the end of the row right here. I will see you right here. We will be increasing right here. Welcome back. The fourth row is almost done, and then chain 2. Those are just the last squares because the last stitches are usually more tricky, right? Chain 2. Remember, here we didn't have any increases, so just make a regular square, skip 2, go into the third chain, 1, 2, 3, and we need an increase, 1, 2, yarn over 2, and go into the same stitch you just went with a extended double crochet stitch with the left part of your square. And now here's a triangle, okay? And you might want to use your stitch marker again, place it right here so that you remember that increases were marked by a stitch marker. Or even if you're a beginner, use stitch markers every time you increase. I mean, I don't use stitch markers at all because I kind of see what is going on, but if you still need that extra help, that's okay. Use those. Okay, now let's take a look at what's going on. And now you know that your stitch markers help you find the side where the increases are going on, where the line goes up. But each time you're following your t-shirt's line. So this line goes straight around along the ruler. This line goes straight, and this line goes up. Once in a while, take those stitch markers off and see, do you need an increase or you do not need an increase? And I made this increase, and I see that probably the next row I will not increasing, because otherwise the line will go too fast up. I don't want that. I just want a row without any increases. So in your project book, you might want to write down that it's your 5th row and how many squares, not increased squares, you will need for your 5th row. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Remember, we're kind of building a square over that triangle. Where you have a stitch marker, there's your triangle, okay? And now make a square, right? So this was an increase, and this is a square. And then 1, 2, and a square, 1, 2, and a square, 1, 2, and a square. And this is how you finish this row. So go ahead, finish this row without any increases. This was not an increase, this was just a square. Finish this row and then chain 3 and 2 and go until here, and this is where our next increase will happen. Of course, if we need one, because if you see that you don't need one, you just do not increase. Follow your line. Check this line all the time. Okay, so with my camera off, I almost finished the 6th row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the triangles, and this is gonna be another increase. Like I said, if you do not need an increase, if your yarn is thicker, just go ahead and just make a square here and go 1 row up and see when you need the next increase, right? So in my case, I do need an increase. So this was a square. I just chained 2 after my previous extended double crochet and yarn over, and I go into the 3rd chain. 1 and 2 and 3, and then 1, 2, and in the same stitch goes the increase right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got our 3rd increase. And if you're increasing like I do, you maybe wanna just write down in your project book what was going on the row number 5 and the row number 6. It was an increase. You go ahead and pin your stitch marker right here. So now you need to work until here, because here we will be starting the decreases. Okay, it will be a different shape. So for here I will turn my camera off and leave you with that idea that you make a row and you check, do you need an increase in the end of the row or you don't? If you need, you go ahead and increase. If the line goes too far away, then don't increase. Okay, maybe if you've got enough increases, then just stop increasing, then just go ahead and go this way. So I hope it makes sense. But make sure you write down the amount of squares into your project book for every row, because you will need to duplicate it right here. Okay, so I will see you when this part is done. Let's talk about the neckline right now. You see this line goes beautifully down, and we need to follow this line to form this neckline. So in order to do that, we need to make some decreases. And how do we make those? The decrease, what does decrease look like on the chart? So those were your squares, right? And then a decrease are 2 stitches together. In this case, it's an extended double crochet stitch and an extended treble crochet stitch. So if you had a square in the previous row, okay, then those will be just 2 stitches. That means that you kind of build this triangle above this square. So you have this stitch, it's an extended double crochet, and then a treble crochet together. And since I will be decreasing like at both rows, okay, I will be making 1, 2, 3, 4 chains and go into this stitch. So those are extended double crochets. So my decrease will look like 1 triangle and a triangle number 2. Right here I've reached the end of the row, but probably I will frog it just a little bit. You know, in freehand projects that happens sometimes. So why am I frogging a little bit? Probably because my next row I want to start right here and go along the neckline, and probably instead of this square I want a little decrease right here. Right here I want a decrease. Okay, if you were at the beginning of the row, like right here, you go ahead and make your squares until you reach about this point. It's like a centimeter below this point where your shoulder meets your neck treatment. Okay, this was my last stitch, my last square, see? And this is my stitch, my working stitch. When we were making squares, we would chain 2, but now I'm not chaining 2, I want to decrease, and I make 2 yarn overs and go into the left side top point of the square, and I go 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I call this stitch an extended treble crochet stitch. And see what it does. It helps me kind of to follow this line a little bit better. I will go further a little bit and it will make more sense. So remember, here we made a decrease, so let's mark decreases with our let's say violet stitches. So this was a decrease, right? And if you decreased, you also might wanna mark those. And since my work was too close to this line, I want another decrease. So I turn my work and I chain 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, and I go into here and an extended double crochet, and this is how I've got another triangle. So I've got, this was a square, this is a triangle, this is a triangle. Okay, and after this triangle I will make a couple more squares so that you see how the line goes. 1, 2, and then our regular squares with extended double crochet stitches. Okay, that's enough to just to show you. We need to finish the row, of course. And let's see what it looks like. By the way, I didn't use the stitch markers here for increases, but you might want to use those, of course. See what we've got here. This decrease and this decrease helped us kind of to follow this line. So basically here I need to finish this row and then to start another row and go probably around here and make a decrease here. I need a triangle about here so that it follows the neckline. Let's do it. Oh, by the way, I marked both of the decreases. So remember, we did 2 decreases, one with extended treble crochet and one with just chains. Okay, and see, I placed those decreases right here. This is where I want to go until. And then I just do not finish this row. I do not go until the end of the row. I just want to finish here, or maybe this will be my last stitch and here I will have that triangle. It has more sense, so it will go like right along this line. So yeah, this will be my last square, the left side of the square right here, and I will decrease here. So yarn over 2, no chains. Remember, when you make a decrease, no chains, and yarn over 2 and go into here, and 1, 2, 3, 4. In 4 stages we built that treble crochet stitch, and then turn. See, I don't want to go here, I don't need extra fabric here, and I will make another decrease, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. See, I had this triangle here, and I want a triangle over this, above this square. Okay, so yarn over and an extended double crochet. And let's see what we've got. The line starts to go smoothly around the neckline, and let's make a few squares. This goes right along the line, and here I definitely want to finish. Oops, straighten them. Here I definitely want to finish this row and then turn and go up until here and make a decrease about here. And also, if you do not actually see those triangles very well, you might again use your stitch markers here and here. But since I do see those triangles, I'm not gonna use those. Okay, so I will finish this row with my camera off and then go one row up. I mean I will chain 3 and then 2 and then return, and I will see you about here. Okay, I finished the previous row and then turned and then went back up, and probably this is where I want my next decrease. So these were the decreases from the previous row, so I'm gonna skip this one. This was a square. I just gonna leave it, and so these were like first 2 decreases, these were second 2 decreases, and then those squares I will leave those, or maybe even, yeah, I will frog the last one. It's okay, I think, just to be more precise, and then make a decrease. So let's make a decrease. Okay, just like we did. Yarn over 2. Remember, no chains after the last extended double crochet. So yarn over 2 and go into the top point of the previous square. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is a decrease. This will look like a triangle. I promise it will. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 and turn, and it will be our second triangle, and yarn over, no more chains. Okay, and go into here. So decrease, decrease here, and now let's make a few more squares. So yeah, I accidentally finished this row, and let's see what we've got. I mean, see, it does follow the neckline. It really does. This is what we were expecting. And make sure that this line still goes around along the shoulder, and this line is straight, and actually this line is straight. Yeah, make sure that you straighten it every time. Yeah, this line is also straight. And now let's see, where do we want our where do we want decreases? Well, probably here, somewhere here. I want to build a triangle here. So my previous decreases were here and here, so I will probably make the last stitch here and the first triangle will go over this one. So you just follow your line and see your own calculations, your own amount of stitches. Okay, so I will make a triangle here and then go to the next row and the second right here. So I've almost reached the point where I want my decrease. Just a reminder, the last two decreases were right here, a triangle and a triangle. You might still want to use markers, but I prefer not to. It's just my personal thing to see the stitches as they are. So I probably will make one more square, and instead of this square I will make a triangle. So my working stitches right here, yarn over 2 and into the upper point of the square, and this is a extended treble crochet 1, 2, 3 and 4, and the triangle is done. It almost looks like a triangle, so turn the work 1, 2, 3, 4 and go into this stitch, and it should be just a regular extended double crochet, and make a couple more squares, 1 and 2, and let's see what it looks like. The line goes along the neckline. So from here I will be decreasing until I have just one square left. So in my case, after those two decreases, I will make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares, and then the next row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 probably, and then decrease here, and maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, and then 3, and then decrease until I have just one square left, just right, like right here, and then I will find the very center. I mean, this is a spoiler, this is the second part. You will be making this one after you've done this one, but anyway, the idea is to find the center, and after you're done with all those decreases, just leave just one square like this one and make a sequence of squares built upon that last square until you reach the very center of your shirt, because the other part will also be like that and they will meet at the center. So in my case, this is what happened when the camera was off. I finished that current row and then chain 3, chain 2 went all the way up, and these were my two last decreases. These were previous ones, these were previous ones right here, no decreases were going on here. So you remember that I showed that part, and now I probably want to make this square and then a triangle above this one. So this will be a regular square, the last regular square in this row. 1, 2, and then no chains, yarn over 2, go into here. It was an extended treble crochet, as you know. It was supposed to look like a triangle. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and remember, I see this as a triangle. This is the top point of triangle, and if I want a decrease, I go exactly into here, an extended double crochet right here, and finish this row. 1, 2. Those are just regular squares. Again, stop right here. Check with your prototype. I guess, okay, these were my last decreases, so I will decrease here and the next one. Well, I hope it makes sense, and I will see you when I have just one square left. It looks like I had decreases here, 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 and just one square is left. So I'm gonna chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and go into the left upper corner of this square, and it's an extended double crochet, my regular stitch, okay? And then turn, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 chains, and go into the upper left corner of the square again. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then turn, and then go into the left upper corner of the square. And I build up those squares until I reach the very center of the neckline. Now, when you've reached this point, when you have two equal parts, you have to find the right side of the left square and the left side of the right square, and just fix them together. You can use either your sewing needle or just make a few stitches with your crochet hook, like half crochet stitches. Just make sure that you found the right sides of the squares. So what I would do, I would just use a couple single crochet stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and I can cut my thread here and pull it through the last stitch, and this is what we've got. Just make sure that it doesn't twist, okay? And the rest of the work will be going on from here down. And again, let's take a look at our t-shirt. Here we will simplify this line. We will see it as a straight line, okay? But later it starts going to this side, right? So until here we will be working without increases, without decreases, without nothing, following just this chart, okay?